What would you do if the man who opened your car door every morning, smiled politely, and drove you safely through the most dangerous roads was secretly selling children? Most people wouldn't even imagine it. But one night, the leader of Burkina Faso did something unexpected. He followed his driver home, and what he discovered would shake an entire nation to its core. Before we continue, tell me something. What time is it where you're watching from? Which country are you in right now? Drop it below, hit that like button, and welcome to the Commander Ibrahim Traore community. Because today, you're about to hear a story most leaders would bury forever. Late evening, in Ouagadougou, Commander Ibrahim Traore sat alone in his office. The air felt heavy, like the whole room was holding its breath. A single desk lamp spread a soft orange glow across stacks of security files. But he wasn't reading anymore. He was thinking about someone he should never have to worry about, his driver. A man who had been with him for 2 years, always on time, always respectful, always silent. But recently, something changed. Strange phone calls, quick glances over his shoulder, nervous gestures he didn't show before. Traore had survived battles, coups, ambushes. His instincts kept him alive. And tonight, those instincts whispered one thing: follow him. He ended his day like normal, walked to the car, and got inside. The driver greeted him politely, too politely, hands tight on the wheel, jaw clenched, phone ringing in his pocket again and again. When the commander reached home, everything looked normal on the surface. The driver opened his door, smiled, wished him a good night. Traore nodded, walked toward the gate, then slipped out through a side exit into a dark, unmarked vehicle waiting for him. Engine low, lights off, heart steady, he followed. The driver didn't go home. He didn't take the main roads. He drove east farther and farther away from the city. The pavement disappeared. Streetlights vanished. Civilization faded. The road turned into dirt, and the dirt turned into wilderness. The driver was heading somewhere intentionally, somewhere hidden. After half an hour, the car ahead turned toward a settlement with no electricity, no activity, no reason for a normal man to be there. Cumbri, a place known for silence and for danger. The commander parked far enough to stay invisible, close enough to see everything. The driver approached a walled compound. Voices murmured inside, low, serious, threatening. The commander moved through the shadows until he found a crack in the old mud wall, and what he saw inside froze his breath. Dozens of boys, barely teenagers, sitting on dirt floors, hands tied, heads down, faces hollow, eyes empty, their childhood stolen long before that night. Armed guards circled them, like hunters, protecting their prey. And then, the worst part, his driver, the man who drove him every day. The man who knew his roots, his routines, his vulnerabilities. Laughing with a tall man, exchanging money, inspecting the children one by one, pulling their arms, checking their teeth, like livestock. The commander wasn't shocked easily. But tonight, something inside him cracked. Anger, disgust, a sense of betrayal so sharp it felt like a blade pressed against his ribs. But he didn't act, not yet. He documented everything: faces, weapons, vehicles, positions, numbers, conversations. This wasn't one criminal. This was a network. He slipped back into the shadows and disappeared into the night. There would be no sleep. He drove straight to his command center and made encrypted calls to his most loyal soldiers, men who had fought beside him, men who would never betray him. He shared the evidence. Not one of them spoke for several seconds. Then came the quiet, steady promise in every soldier's voice: "We're ready." By sunrise, an entire military operation had been designed. But they couldn't arrest the driver yet. If they took him too soon, everyone else would scatter. Children would be moved. Evidence would vanish. Guilty men would escape across borders. So Traore did something harder than fighting. He acted normal. The next morning, the driver arrived as if nothing had happened. Smiling, polite, opening the door, and the commander greeted him the same way. But behind the scenes, intelligence teams followed every one of his calls, every movement, every contact, and what they uncovered was horrifying. There wasn't one compound. There were 5. There weren't a few criminals. There were hundreds. Businessmen, officials, police, border agents, foreign operators, corrupt networks moving human beings like cargo, an entire industry feeding on children. 1 week passed, every detail mapped, every man identified, every escape route closed. The night before the operation, the commander barely slept. He saw the children's faces again, the fear, the shaking hands, the bruises, the silence that only trauma can create. He saw his driver's smile, a smile built on suffering. The next morning, he gave his driver a simple instruction: take me to the northern area. The trap snapped shut. They drove normally. Calm roads, clear skies, quiet radio. But several vehicles behind them were not ordinary traffic. Every car around them was part of the operation. As soon as the city thinned out, the commander gave a small hand signal. Soldiers accelerated from every direction. The driver's car was boxed in instantly. Brakes screeched. Armed men surrounded the vehicle. Windows shattered. Doors torn open. The driver panicked, tried to reach under the seat. He didn't get far. They dragged him out, screaming, denying everything, begging, cursing, until the commander stepped out calmly and stood over him. He spoke softly about the compound, about the children, about the money he took, about the videos, about the evidence. The driver's legs buckled. In that moment, he knew his life was over. At 5 a.m., coordinated raids hit all 5 sites. Kumbri fell first. The tall boss was caught trying to escape through a storage room. Other sites, Awahiguya, Dori, Fagnon, Bobo, fell quickly. More than 150 arrests in a single morning. The largest anti-trafficking operation in Burkina Faso's history. When the soldiers freed the children, many didn't understand. Some sobbed. Some clung to the soldiers' uniforms. Some stared blankly, unable to process freedom. But they were safe. Finally safe. The news spread across the country before noon. Across Africa by afternoon. Across the world by nightfall. The commander stood before the nation and spoke plainly. No political talk. No complicated explanations. Just truth. And a promise. This will not stop here. Every trafficker will be hunted. Every corrupt official exposed. Every child protected. The days that followed changed the country forever. Judges were arrested. Officials removed. Police officers fired. Safe houses closed. Money confiscated. Funds redirected to shelters and rehabilitation. The commander didn't just break the network. He destroyed the soil it grew from. Families were reunited in scenes that left the nation in tears. A woman in Rayo fainted when she saw her son alive. A father in Tugan dropped to his knees when both his boys ran into his arms. Musa, the 14-year-old with bandaged wrists, finally hugged his mother after months of nightmares. Not every child had a family to return to. So Traore built new futures for them. Education, therapy, protection, stability. Weeks passed. Then months. The country changed. People became watchful. Cars were questioned. Schools monitored. 3 more trafficking attempts were stopped because citizens reported suspicious activity. Darkness had been confronted. And a nation refused to go blind again. A year later, the commander organized a ceremony. Not for himself, but for the soldiers, the officers, the rescuers, the civilians. He also invited the rescued boys. Musa walked to the microphone, voice trembling, eyes shining. Evil exists, but good is stronger. Darkness is real. But light always finds a way. In my privates, progressed from 1 with it Akamang. The applause was overwhelming. Some soldiers cried. The commander simply shook Musa's hand and whispered something no camera could catch. Late that night, the commander sat alone in his office again. The same lamp glowing, the same silence filling the room. He opened a box filled with letters, handwritten notes from the children who had been rescued. One letter at a time, he read them slowly. Each word a reminder of what leadership truly means. One child saved is a universe repaired. One night of instinct changed thousands of lives. One man followed his heart and exposed the evil sitting beside him every morning. If you're watching this right now, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. Because stories like this remind us, heroes still walk among us. And one of them is Commander Ibrahim Traore.